Okay, hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kyla and if you're new here, subscribe. I'm sorry, I'm fighting a Savannah Monitor right now because today's video is all about this chunk who really just wants to go back into her cage. One second here, friends. Hey. Okay, there we go. She's all calmed down. So today I'm going to be talking about some tips I have for Savannah Monitor owners. Now, this isn't going to be a complete care video. I'm not going to be going over everything that comes with caring for a Savannah Monitor. I just don't really feel like I am educated enough to tell people how to take care of their animal, but I am going to be giving you some tips because Houdini is one of my most asked about animals. Generally, when people are asking me about specific animals, they're asking me about Houdini, or they're saying, oh, like it's amazing you have an adult Savannah Monitor and that kind of thing. So today we're going to be going over some tips that I have and things that I've done throughout her lifespan. I've had her for 5 years. I got her when she was a newly hatched baby. And so I am just going to tell you my experiences. Like I said, this isn't a complete how-to or a complete care video, solely my experiences. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is baby Savannah Monitors. And baby Savannah Monitors tend to be wild caught or wild harvested, which is basically where the people in Africa find eggs, harvest them, and then the babies will hatch out in captivity, but they were actually created in the wild, and then they'll be shipped to places like North America, and then they'll enter the pet trade. So that's how I got Houdini, and a lot of the babies that come in will have parasites and things like that. And so I highly recommend that if you are going to get a Savannah Monitor, you look for captive bred. If that's not available to you, because I know that captive bred Savannah Monitors are very few and far between, if that's not available to you, when you pick your baby Savannah Monitor, I urge you to really take your time and look through the babies and make sure that the baby that you're getting is active, its eyes are open and clear, it responds to stimulus. So if you like move your fingers like this, that looks like food, it responds to you, and it's overall kind of ferocious. You want it to be like zest for life level. You don't want it to be kind of lying around. You want it to look like it's hydrated. A lot of times the babies will come in dehydrated and never recover, and as sad as that is, you really don't want that because you're starting yourself off on a bad foot. So get a baby that's really high energy and that literally looks like it wants to eat everything in sight. The next thing I'll say with babies is make sure that they have a cage that has enough bedding for them to burrow. When Houdini was a baby, I literally never saw her unless it was food time or she was basking because she was buried. And that's a defense mechanism that they use to stay safe in the wild because they're easily picked upon and eaten when they're babies. They're so small. So my biggest tip is to let them have as much bedding as they need to burrow, make it moist. I hate that word, but make it moist so that they're able to create those tunnels and stay hydrated. The other thing I'll say for babies is make sure that you're interacting with them and interact with them frequently. Savannah Monitors get big. As you can see, Houdini is almost 5 pounds and just about the size of my dog at this point, and they get big and they can get nasty. So you do want to make sure you're interacting with them frequently. And a tip that I have is to feed off tongs or like a fork or a spoon, so that way they know that you represent food but that your hands don't represent food, because you don't want them to be going after your fingers like food when they're older. The next thing I want to talk about is soaking, and This is something that I'm not sure that other people do or don't. Let me know if you have a Savannah Monitor and if you do. But I like to soak Houdini in my bathtub once a month, sometimes more depending on, I just kind of see if she looks hydrated, which you can see right now, she's nice and plump and nice and hydrated. And I just run the bath water a couple inches of warm water and put her in there. She swims around, drinks, and then I take her out. She's in there for about half hour, and I do that as much as needed, but at least once a month. And that really helps. She does have a big water bowl in her cage, but she didn't really use the big one that I had in there before, so I did downsize it a little bit just to give her more floor space. But a big water bowl is definitely essential. It's recommended that you have a bowl big enough for them to get in their cage, so that way they can have access to soaking on their own. So it's not just when you choose to take them out of their cage to soak them, but they can have that option to soak at any time, whenever they want. Next, I'm going to talk about diet, and this is kind of going to range from baby all the way to adult. And diet is another one of those things that people really disagree on when it comes to Savannah monitors. But basically what I do is a variety. I keep the diet very varied. I keep her diet varied. So she has bugs, she has meat, she has eggs, she has rodents, pretty much whatever I have, whatever I'm giving to the other animals, as long as it's protein, she can have it. Savannah monitors are carnivorous, so you're not going to need to give them any greens or anything like that. But she gets a very varied diet, for lack of better terms. She gets a lot of different things. Mainly when she was a baby, she would eat things like crickets, superworms, and then as she's gotten older, she eats larger prey. One of her absolute favorite things is frozen thawed quails, which are just like little birds. The reptile store's been out of them for quite a while, but it's her absolute favorite, and yeah, we give that to her. But like I said, she gets different things. I would recommend, though, another feeding tip, feed on tongs or in a bowl, because you don't want to ever feed with your hands like this, because that creates hand aggression, in my opinion. What I've seen is when I feed animals with my hands, it creates the desire for them to go after your hand for food. But if you're using tongs or a bowl or a spoon, they look as the food. Like, that's what brings them food, not you. Next thing I want to talk about is basking and temperature. So Savannah monitors obviously come from a very hot climate, and basking temperature should be in the hundreds. 110 is ideal, but anywhere around that will be good. And you want to make sure they have a basking platform that they're able to go up on and get that temperature. The ambient can be closer to room temperature in the 70s. Low 80s is also fine, and then you want to make sure that they do have a drop-off temperature that's a lower temperature, whether that be in a burrow or on the other side of the cage, to make sure that they're not going to get overheated or too cold. You want kind of a good mix. The other thing I do want to quickly talk about is making sure that they do have a light cycle. That's really important. I do 12 hours on and 12 hours off. That's just me. That's the way I do it. But it doesn't always need to be done that way. You can do it however you see fit. But I would recommend giving a light cycle so that they know when to wake up and they know when to go to bed. You don't want to be turning it off randomly, in my opinion, because it can create kind of no schedule. So they don't know when they're eating or when they're coming, when they're going. Socialization is the next topic that we're going to be talking about. And by socialization, I basically mean this. Socialize with your Savannah monitor. They're definitely not an animal that you can just leave them alone and expect them to be friendly. That just won't happen. Savannah monitors can get very mean, and they're just too big of a lizard to let that happen. So what I recommend is, you don't necessarily have to handle them all the time like this. Like, I don't handle her super often like this, but when I'm in my reptile room, I'll sit by the glass of her cage, I'll talk to her, I feed her personally, I do her cleaning. So basically, she's become very accustomed to me and know that I only bring good things to her. I don't cause her any kind of harm, and that's how that's kind of built, is just over time, she's gained my trust. So gain their trust, because then this is, you know, how they'll be with you. If you don't have their trust, you can have unnecessary bites and stuff like that. So start from a baby and work your way up, making sure you really are interacting with them. So to talk about is vitamins and UVB. Savannah monitors definitely need UVB. That is a must. I have UVB on the cool side of the cage and then on the hot side of the cage. You want to make sure that you're providing UVB because that's what they would get with the sun. It's very essential so they don't get metabolic bone disease or other issues. The other thing that's really important is supplements, and I give Houdini. Just like the rest of my animals, Houdini uses this. I don't really use a rule for vitamins. I kind of go based on what I think. So if I didn't feed them vitamins last time, I'll feed them this time. If I see that, you know, somebody might be looking a little bit deficient, I feed it. I kind of just go by instinct, but a good rule of thumb is every other time you give the vitamin and calcium. That's what I do. Do your own research on vitamins and calcium and come up with your good schedule because there's so many different ways you can do it, and that's why there's a lot of debate on Savannah Monitor Care, is because there's so many different ways you can take care of them successfully. Obviously, my girl is very healthy, but I'm sure somebody that does something completely different than me also will have a healthy animal. So it really just depends, but as long as you're making sure that is a part of their diet, you're probably doing a good job. So another thing I did quickly want to mention, I did put Houdini away because she was starting to get a little bit done and I was sweating. I like to wear like a sweater or a long sleeve when I'm holding her because she's got such long claws that I end up getting like scratches all over me. So anyway, I am overheated to say the least. She's like a blanket. But anyway, the next thing I wanted to talk about is cage size. And Savannah monitors are a big commitment. They need a big cage. Actually, when I move out, I do want to get Houdini an even bigger cage, and her cage is already over 6 feet. So you really have to have the space for a Savannah monitor and make sure that you're able to do that. A lot of Savannah monitors unfortunately do pass away before they get to adult size, but if you're taking really good care of them, they will get to adult size. So right now, I would say Houdini is probably about 4.5 feet and about 5 pounds. So she's big and they do really need the space, and she utilizes it. She goes up and down her ramp. She's all the time in her plants. They use the space. She's got about 1 foot of bedding in there that she can dig in. She has a burrow. So definitely make sure that you are giving them enough space. And yeah. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed hearing some tips from me on how I grew a baby Savannah monitor into an adult Savannah monitor successfully over the last 5 years. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this is my opinion and my opinion alone based on my experience and my own research. So if you are planning on getting a Savannah monitor, great, but just make sure that you've done a ton of your own research. Don't just take this video and say, okay, well now I know everything, because this isn't a complete care guide. There's so much more that goes into caring for Savannah monitors and so many more tips and tricks I could give, but this video would be hours long. So if you want another tips and tricks with Savannah monitor video, definitely let me know and I'd be more than happy to do it. I absolutely adore Houdini and she's one of my favorite pets to have in my house. She's so special, so smart, and basically the closest thing I'll ever get to Jurassic Park. So she's really cool. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and please, if you like my videos and you want to see more from me, definitely make sure that you're subscribed and you turn on notifications so that you know when I post a video. Lately I've been posting on Sundays and Wednesdays, so check my channel those times of the week because there should be a new video. But until next time guys, please follow me on Instagram. I just started a reptile specific Instagram, so you can follow me on my personal Instagram, but now I also have a reptile specific Instagram where I will be posting updates on my reptiles and also letting you know when new videos go live. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!